Hello and
Oh,
welcome to another episode of Master Part in the Common Room. Today was also a reflective episode where we talked about the anxiety that comes with money or lack thereof sometimes, and how we should or how we try to think about money and how we try to approach money and to not be anxious about the next 10 years and about the next 15 years. We also talked about what financial freedom is to each person and what retirement also is going to look like for each person. So go into this episode, watch it. Don't forget to drop a like. We also need you to drop a comment. And that subscribe button at the bottom, click on the subscribe button. If you're watching on to Spotify, remember to follow us and let's get into the episode. So my name is Israel. I'm a software engineer and I'm currently based out of Vancouver, Canada. Samuel, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Sam. I am not a software engineer. I am a visual designer and I'm currently based in the United States of America.
Hi guys, my name is Michael. I'm a writer and I'm a marketer. I'm currently based in the UK.
So yeah, I was your weekend. Michael, do you want to start?
Yeah, my weekend was fun. To be honest, I met up with a friend, I would say childhood friend. If you meet somebody 7 years ago, that counts already as childhood friend, right? Yeah, I met up with a childhood friend out in London, and we had a good time out. We went for lunch. We also had drinks. The cocktails were terrible, but sorry, when you order cocktails, they're supposed to be like a mix of fruits, like juice and alcohol, right? Not just alcohol.
Yeah.
And one was supposed to be because we ordered cocktails and it's like you might as well have served just vodka, to be honest.
I mean,
Because it's
I
like
think it's also that it could depend on the
the
kind of
the
cocktail.
mix.
Yeah, the mix. Do you
Yeah.
get right?
What do you
There
do
are
with that?
sour cocktails and there are sweet cocktails.
I was not even
So
expecting it to be sweet, but also like, can we taste the cocktail
fruit.
or just tasting alcohol
Yeah.
shots? It was a mess, to be honest. But yeah, but the day was great, to be honest. And then we went for a play, The Secret Life of Baba Shegi's Wife. It's like a traditional play, like
Hmm.
based on an African novel. So it was really fun. 10/10 weekend. I'm never gonna lie. I had a fantastic time, and yeah, ready for the week. How about you, Samra?
My week was great. I went on a road trip with a friend
Ooh.
and it was quite an adventure. We had a lot of like mishaps. Like it was very much unplanned. And I mean before then I was also in SF. So actually yeah, I was in SF. So I landed and then I had like a 2 day buffer and then when it was so unplanned and it was so nice because it felt very chaotic. Like typically my travel plans are usually very well laid out. You leave this day, you
Hmm.
come back today, this is where you
Yeah.
stay. But we had to like drive and then there were times when we considered staying in one place as opposed to where we had initially planned to. There was a time when we got stuck somewhere and we just went around, went to the zoo and like we just made the best of it. Like it was very nice to just be able to be free as it were, like just so free to do anything as it comes. And so that was really fun. It was about us 100. It would probably be about an 900 or 1,000 mile drive because we drove
Wow.
from New York and then we
I
went
mean,
in.
you drove from the West Coast to the East Coast, right,
Yes,
and then back.
I don't know if that I went from like Jersey, Philly to
Is Jersey now on the West Coast?
I
Or do
don't know
you?
these things. That's why I say I can't try.
Okay, maybe it's on the East Coast.
I think it's
You
East
guys
Coast.
use EST. Maybe it's on the East
Yeah, it's
Coast
East
there.
Coast. Yes, East
Yeah.
Coast. And so we drove, and then I drove to
Yes.
New
East
Jersey,
Coast.
and then we drove all the way down, and then went to Niagara. Niagara Falls was the highlight of everything for me, which was amazing. It
Wait,
was
you
like
went from New Jersey to where, please? I'm checking Google Maps.
we went from New Jersey to basically, let's just say Niagara Falls, but we had stops around the way. So
Yeah.
we went from New Jersey to all the way to the border of like,
Damn.
yeah,
Interesting.
The
yeah.
Canadian
So
border.
and then we had like a lot of drives around in between the cities we're in and stuff like that. It was really lovely. It was a really eye-opening experience, which is why I was talking about connecting with the locals. Because at that point it was
Hmm.
that these places are not touristy places except Niagara. Um so that was really nice to experience. My week was great in essence. That's what I'll say.
That's cool. Israel boy. Oh, you had a fun week and
Did I?
and I mean a definitive one, at least.
It's a definite one. Oh Lord. My weekend was mostly chill, to be honest. I went for a Black people events. Uh, why is that funny?
What do you mean by black people events? That's actually very.
Like a
What did you?
black entrepreneurship something something, right? But it was like for black
Oh,
people in Vancouver,
mm,
right? So
Oh,
people were pitching for like people that had ideas were pitching their ideas. So I went for
mm.
that on Saturday. On Sunday, what happened on Sunday? Sunday was church, and then I came back home, just watched movies, slept a bit. Today is Monday, so it's a long weekend here, which is nice. So I get to rest more. Um, but yeah, I think that was mostly how my weekend went. Nothing fancy, to be honest. Just a chill weekend,
Yeah.
just resting. Yeah.
Mm. Are you
what?
still going on? Sorry, Samuel. Are you still going on lunch or is it dinner with your guys? I think you said you're supposed
Oh
to be
yeah,
having
yeah. It's every two
bi-weekly.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
Sorry, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask what the celebration is in Canada. Like, when do you have an extra day?
Yeah. Why are you off work?
Victoria Day or something. You know the way these things are. I'm just happy to get a holiday. I don't care what holiday it is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just happy to not have to go to work on a Monday. That is all that
Yeah, that's a
matters.
long weekend.
No matter what the holiday is, even if I don't
You're
even want
down.
to know,
Yeah.
I just want to not go to work. So uh,
That's rare.
yeah.
That's real.
It's also
Yeah.
like we don't get a lot of holidays like you do in like we do in
Yeah.
Nigeria. Do you get?
Yeah.
So
I miss
we
that, not gonna lie. I miss the
yeah.
Eid Kabir, Eid Mubarak, Eid, all the
For
Eids.
example, Ilea is coming right now. So one of our friends that is Muslim invited us for that, and I'm like, even in Nigeria, that's one whole weekend, but there's no holiday for
Yeah,
that.
that's the whole, like,
Yeah,
where is
that's
it
a whole
from?
weekend. Yeah, do you get? But there's no holiday for that. So I'm like, yeah, why now?
Yeah,
Let's
it doesn't
celebrate
be
our Muslim
working.
brothers.
That's,
Idel Fitri, I think.
Eid
Idel,
al-Fitr.
yeah.
So
yeah,
And
that's interesting.
a layer for.
yeah. Anyways,
Okay.
so what are we talking about today, Michael?
Money, 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 money,
Money
money,
on
money,
my mind,
money.
money. That
Yeah,
is
we're talking
that
about
is a
money.
very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to get a high level of what is going on in your mind. What do you think you want us to talk about money? Because we could
Yeah.
come about this in different ways.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
let's see what you
So
have in mind.
yeah, so I've been consuming a lot of like financial education, investment, blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
your income, passive income, clinical income, YouTube videos lately. I'm not gonna lie, until like it's a year now. Like so today I have to just like I think I was on my fourth financial education, passive income, clinical video today. I just be like, bro, like what am I looking for? Like it's like we all know that my salary is fixed. We all know. Like it's
Yeah.
like there's nothing I can do right now. Do like
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It's like I'm watching all these videos. I'm consuming all this content about do this, do that, do this, do that, do that, do that. And funny enough, I actually have a plan that I'm working with. But it's also like the more you watch these things and consume these things, the more you feel like you have to be doing something.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do I need to be doing? I need to like, I need to sell the laptop and leave you guys on this podcast and like
Yeah.
it's like it got to like that. Like, you know what? I just closed the entire this thing and started listening to the screenshot I sent on the group because I was like, I'm actually done with all this podcast about
Mm-hmm.
money, 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 money. And I was like, yeah, I think I wanted to get a sense of where you guys' headspace is at as regards like money and then your current financial state and then your future financial state. Like, are you scared for the future when it comes to money? Or do you feel like you're running out of time or you're right on track?
Hmm.
Or do you think you're going to be able to like be financially free anytime soon? In the sense of people who do things like they retire from the things that like maybe they're 9 to 5 to go and
Mm-hmm.
do whatever, like maybe pursue a passion or something. For people that have such passions and everything. But yeah, like do you guys think about money a lot or often? And is it from a place of there's money in the bag? Or like
Yeah.
is this really the best I can do? I mean, disgrace my generation, or from the point of like I don't know, like Yeah, that's just it. This is
Really,
about
What,
money.
I think one thing that I will first say is that I think a lot of people have financial anxiety
Yeah.
because people don't talk about it. I think
Mm.
money is such a huge part of our lives that
Yeah.
we can't
it's just
afford.
weird that we don't talk about it. Do you get? So
Mhm.
I recorded a video like early this year that I posted on my YouTube about my net worth and all those kind of, and then some people are like, you're bold. I'm like, okay, I'm not running away from. It's like
I don't know
You,
from the Fed.
you have
I'm
to
not
think of,
exactly. I'm not running away from Canadian Revenue Agency. I
yeah.
pay my taxes. They even pay me
Mm-hmm.
refund because they take too much. Do you get?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just very interesting that something that people do a lot is the same thing sometimes with relationships and stuff, like where
Yeah.
people don't give good advice. And I mean, you can watch YouTube videos, but sometimes it's just good to talk to the average Joe that is walking on the road, that is just
Yeah.
walking about, and be like, what are
Mm-hmm.
you doing with your money? Do you get, like, how are you spending your money? And
Yeah.
that sometimes will probably help us to not be too anxious about money and
Yeah.
know that there are some things that are just not our fault, especially if you think you're not doing well, right? And you might even be doing better than you think you are. So that's the first thing that I
Mm-hmm.
was going to say. The second thing that I was going to say is, like, we should try to define what being financially free means. And I think you sort of like alluded to that. And I think generally what people think about it is that when you have enough money to make more money for you, that you don't have to work again. That if you don't work, you will still be good until you die. Do you get? Say you have like 10 million in savings and investment, and that brings, say, there are 20,000 uh, per month, right? You probably don't need to work again. You just need to keep chilling, right?
Have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always doesn't mean that you can't you can't work again or you won't work again. But like if you don't work, like nothing is going to happen to
Yeah.
you.
Good. Yeah.
So where is my headspace? So Samuel, do you have any comments before I start? I just wanted to lead those background
No,
framework. I
no,
think the framework, yeah.
yeah, no, you're right. Like you're absolutely right on that, and I totally agree with you because what I was going to say initially was that this is a very intense topic, and you explained why it is an intense topic, which is what makes sense. And it's like like you said, for something that we do have to interact with every day, it's weird how much taboo has been placed on it. And
Yeah.
capitalism capitalists really thrive on the silence of those things, on the like secrecy that comes with it. So don't tell
Yeah.
them how much you're paid. Don't tell them whatever because once people see negotiate or bring it down. I remember there's the time that they made it there's a company I had worked in. Oh yeah, remember the company I worked in that had long hours. You guys know the company I'm talking about.
Well, I know the company.
It was actually it was a fireable offense, even though we're remote, and they were paying by location. So people in
Yeah.
Nigeria were not paid the same as people in like India or Philippines or something. So they were trying to get us to hide our pay because we didn't want to match or anything like that. And we're working like slaves. If I'm sorry, but if that anyway, but it was a very it was really good place, like a really good space, but until really good space in terms of the employees, right? The
Hmm.
people that team members. So when they would then talk about things and then we knew what was going on, I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
work culture was
Yeah.
toxic. And part
From
of
the
the
men,
toxic
yes,
yeah, and
but
part of the toxicity was that you couldn't discuss how much you make,
yeah,
which I guess is another problem. I mean, I know coming from being a Nigerian, which is probably not only being in Nigeria because that probably happens every other time too, which leads to like that post about the person that was paying 1 million for a chess set, is that when people know, which is sometimes what people are afraid of, is like when people know how much you make, especially if you're making a lot, some requirements are placed upon you. Do you get like some sense of entitlement that, oh, you're making this much money, I need a cut of it? Do you get? And that probably makes people not just playing the other side. That makes people
Yeah.
not want to talk about how
Talk
much
about
they make.
the.
Do you get? And also, is this all same thing of the fact that people are shy because people are thinking, oh, I'm not making enough, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and if I say how much I'm making now, people are going to think I'm a failure, I'm a dud, that kind of thing. So I think
I'm
there's
probably
also
already
that.
thinking myself.
Yeah, there's also that part of things. But
Yeah.
let's leave what generally things are and talk about. Go back to Michael's question, which is like what your headspace is at. Do you think you're doing okay? And
Oh,
what that is like, I guess. Was that the question?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I mean, let's put up a YouTube video about your finances. So you definitely think you're doing okay. It's like if you already get the better of putting up YouTube videos about your finances,
Yeah.
you definitely feel like you're doing okay. Like it's like
I mean,
I don't know. I don't
I
think
know,
you
I
just let me
actually
let
have a
me
question.
I know that I'm doing okay. Do
let
you
me
get?
effing land. I don't think
Okay,
I
land.
don't think you put up a YouTube video about your finances back like some years back.
How
Niggas
would I
like
ask?
niggas
How
like
would I ask? Yeah.
what exactly would you be putting up is the question. Exactly.
I
Like
mean,
I wouldn't put up
funny thing here was like the last 2-3 years before I left Nigeria, I was actually making a lot of money for a Nigerian.
yeah, but like exactly that was what I was gonna say. Like if someone had put up his finances when he was working for that particular person, it
Yeah,
would have been good money, like reasonably
yeah,
good
yeah,
money and everything. But like before then, before like that period, even if you're making maybe 5K a year from this design or 5K from this
yeah.
Liberty Clinical website and everything, I'm not gonna be putting up a video like that. So I think yeah, it will come back to your
In terms of like content creation, if you don't make something
yeah.
that is going to bring people to watch your video, anything that isn't commendable in some sense, like
Yeah.
there's the part of content creation, but there's also the part of like just talking about it. Do you get like just talking
Oh,
about it?
generally like talking about
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
because
I don't think,
yeah,
personally, I don't think I have a problem talking about money. I don't think I've ever. I'm talking about even my finances. Like I tell people
yeah,
my salary when they ask me.
yeah,
Like it's like generally I don't actually live a life that suggests that I have more money than I do. Like I
yeah,
don't think I've ever lived a life that suggests
yeah,
that I have more money than I do. I think
Mhm.
people, and that's why I've always been. When some people were reaching out to me like, "Oh my God, you're traveling," I'm always like, "Oh, it's cheap, oh." Like just so you know, like because like, I'm always making sure to remind people that especially should travel to this country that I'm traveling to
yeah,
because people are like, oh my God, you went to Monaco. Like, I didn't spend anything there. Like, there's no
yeah,
need yeah. So personally, for me, it's never an issue to say how much I'm earning because
Mhm.
of that. I think
Yeah,
my issue generally is always with the other part of, oh, is this really the best I can do right now? Like,
yeah.
is this the best I can? Yeah, I think I'm permanent. I feel like I've permanently always been in that state where it's like peace of mind has not always been an
I mean,
option. And it's like I really don't know
when it
why.
has to do with money, your
Yeah.
what is chasing you is more than what you're chasing. Is just the case. Do you get like so you're
It's
always
also
like
like
looking back and
I
be
don't
like,
even know. I
it's
don't. And
tough to
what's
catch
wild
it
is
up.
that it's not like I want to spend the money, but it's also
Yeah,
like there is no peace of mind. It's
yeah,
like I don't
yeah.
know how to explain. I don't know how to explain it
Also
in a
like
way. Yeah,
it's also
it's
like
probably bad. It's something that needs to be dug
I,
into. But
Michael is
yeah,
the one person in this group that this is kind of maybe Israel will help me refine these thoughts, but
yeah,
uh you're not cheap, but you're also not expensive. Like you don't you the experiences that you value are
yeah.
not very like you're not the other
Not
person
very
that
expensive.
want to go and jump from skyscraper now, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll pay to. You're like, oh, where's the
Yeah,
nearest museum?
Yeah.
Is there like where's the
yeah.
nearest like
More like your
shop?
hobbies, your interests are not expensive. Do you
Yeah,
get?
they're not expensive interest. Yeah,
Which is very interesting because then when you were in like a place like Nigeria where you were not really
mm,
surrounded by that, or
yeah,
you will go to the same places over and over again and stuff like that. But
yeah,
like in most cases, it can come off like you hoard, like you try to keep, like you keep and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't
yeah,
express like try to spend and stuff. Which initially when I initially clocked it, I was like, this is really strange because for example,
yeah.
you went to I was telling to this guy, oh, you went to this part of this country. Did you even try their local food or something? He was like,
Oh, it doesn't like I'm so not about that life. It's like
Mm.
generally food does not even excite me.
I see.
Do you get? Yeah, I
like,
think I think for me the issue has never really been like if I have quite frankly if I have like £100,000 right now in the bank. I'm trying to wonder what would be different about me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like,
I think, yeah.
I don't like. I don't think I would. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't think maybe I would die
I
alone.
know how you feel. Or I can imagine how you feel. I think the thing about, and I have probably said this before, is that the
Yeah.
thing about having some kind of money isn't so much about spending, because,
Yeah.
wealth, being wealthy is not about how much you spend, right? It's about how much you have retained. Do you get?
Yeah.
And I think there's just this peace of mind that comes with the fact that, I mean, forgetting what we say, like, if sickness comes, all those things that we say in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But like, there's this thing that having money that that at least for a couple of years, if something happens to you and you
Yeah.
just want to live regular day, rent, transport, groceries,
Yeah.
you're fine. Like,
Yes.
if that, I think we grew up in a situation where you're always like, oh, what, you don't have extra. Do you get? You're always like,
Like,
you have to save.
we're
So do
spending it
you get? So the
0.0
0.0, do you get? And you're like,
Yeah.
this next thing has to come. Do you get? You're not, you don't have any extra to be like, oh, what if something happens? Like emergency savings for where, like, you are the emergency. Like, your
Maybe
life
an
is the
emergency.
emergency. Do you get? Right? Your life is the emergency, right? So coming from that place and getting to a place where you are like, yeah, sure, like, if this happens, I think that is and it's not so much about how much you are currently making. It's about how the buffer that you have. And
Yeah.
so there's that aspect of things, like the buffer that you have. But I think one thing is also thinking about the future, right? It's also thinking about the fact that, can you afford to not work until you're 60 with the way you're going, or until you're 70, right? Can you afford to say that at 45 or at 50, you can say that I don't want to work again, and you will still be fine? And I think that's also another worry, which is like, am I saving enough? Am I making enough to save to be able to retire? And not like, yeah.
Funny enough, I mean, I get the retirement thing, right? And some part of me does not worry so much about having money in retirement, because
Yeah.
I think because of, and again, if I have children, this might change. But because I don't plan to have children, some major aspects of my life is eliminated.
Your
So
mom is going to call you after this podcast.
so like, because I don't plan to, like, the thing that, because it's like, if I actually keep making money, and generally, I mean, generally speaking, salaries increase over the years. They don't necessarily decrease. So let's say my income keeps increasing over the years. My taste, obviously, in some things will increase, but not aggressively to the point where I'm lavishing or wasting money. So I don't foresee myself getting to the point where I'm now old and I now don't have money. I think most people spend a lot on kids, which is good. People that want to have kids, like, it's a lot to build a family and everything. If you don't have that, bro, if you actually do eliminate the kids part of your life, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a financial investment, to be honest, because it's like, I'm not saying that's the reason why you should do it. I'm just saying that if you already don't want to have kids, you save yourself some good money, because just imagine that you actually, every money that maybe your colleague is buying for their children, whatever, you are still investing
and stuff,
diapers, taking them to the hospital, all of those things. Then they start school. Maybe public school is free for a while, and then maybe they want to go to Harvard or something. That's like a significant amount of money that you have to cough out and everything. And so I personally don't usually feel that or maybe when I'm older I'll be poor. I think it's just one of the things that you said. One is the buffer. Like, there's this need to have, like, and it's a good need, but there's also it's also like a very anxious need to have a significant emergency fund. It's like I'm anticipating an emergency that I don't even know. Like, it's like, maybe because I'm used to a life of emergency.
Emergencies.
You get it? So it's like, I feel the constant need to quickly, like, build up an emergency fund is the first thing. And then I think the second thing also is there's also this just idea that, am I doing enough to be able to, because the idea of having multiple sources of income, really, I love the idea, because I don't want to, for example, I mean, I think Israel is happy to code till he's 60. I don't particularly want to do marketing till I'm
Yeah.
60. It's like a lot of the times, it's always good to, some people spend maybe their 20s working in the industry that they don't particularly like, maybe banking and
Yeah.
finance, to make a lot of money. Do you get it? They know it's not sustainable. You can't, they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do the banking life, the have a spectacle life forever. But they do it for like the first 20 years of their life, maybe till they are 35 or something. And then they join a small startup or something like that. So it's like, but for them to do that, they usually have a lot of money. And let me branch out a bit. I met an American when I went for this global talent hangouts, and he was telling me that he and his wife just moved from the US to England, and they're living in the countryside, and their children are
Mm-hmm.
going to Cambridge. And he was telling me that, oh, they were part of the people that were building Ozempic
Yeah.
before it blew up. So the moment it blew up like this, and their shares and everything came in,
So did.
it just left the entire
Yeah.
industry and everything. That their wife has a shop now, where she's selling stuff and everything, and he's just like at home, like he's basically retired. Isn't his, I think 45, 50, and everything, not particularly old. I feel
Yeah.
like that's something that is like, yeah, it would be good to be able to do this. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, not
Yeah.
necessarily feel the urgent need to constantly continue to work until that
Mm-hmm.
future. So there's
Yeah.
also that constant fear of, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing to be able to do that eventually? I don't know if you get it, like, it's like,
Yeah. No,
or
I get that,
am
to
I
be
going to be
honest.
on stand-ups when I'm, I don't know, 55? It's like, it doesn't like you want to be on stand when you're 55. Someone said he's happy to. I remember last time we talked about
Wait,
this. It's like, he says it's a different kind of stand-up that,
there's a
it's like,
difference. I kind of
it's
stand
not
up.
just a stand-up, man. Like, if you're the owner of the company, I
Particularly.
get it. You know, if you're the owner of the company, or you're the CEO of the company, I get it. If you're the head of engineering or whatever, it is, I don't care. Like, if you're the head of, well, I personally don't care. Like, I still think, I personally don't. It's like, it's still a 9 to 5. Like, you might
Yeah.
get extra holidays, extra bonuses at the end of the year. It is still a 9 to 5. You still have to resume working between 9 and 10, do meetings, all of those things. And I'm not against a life of responsibilities, obviously. Even this podcast is a responsibility. But
Yeah.
also, like, there's a limit to how expressive or free you can be in a 9 to 5, unless you're really the owner and you've gone to
Yeah.
the point where, I don't know how to explain it. Like, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I
So
don't know if I've explained
I
my
was
concern, but
no,
yeah.
I kind of I understand your point in terms of like whether you mask it in form of leadership or you mask it in form of servitude, you are still in a 9 to 5. Whether you are leading a team, whether
You're
you're
still
being led,
slaving away for someone.
you're still in 9 to 5. I get that part. I was gonna actually even respond to what you had said about the um
Emergency fund or the
uh
retiring at 25.
you are doing enough, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've had to learn two things as I navigate this whole process for me because technically when I moved to the US I started afresh, lost all of my financial independence as it were, and then just came
Mm-hmm.
back and started afresh.
Yeah.
And I would panic. I would have moments where I would panic and I would freak out, and I'm like, I can't. Like I felt so chained or so like in bondage. And I
Mm.
learned two things about it. Like the first is the kind of money, and I think that in this group, I'm the one that have like the biggest wealth mouth, as it were. Like I want to have so much money.
Yeah. You want to do things I don't understand. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Um, one of the things I learned was that first, the kind of money that I want to get would come from a lot. It would come from building consistently for a long time. Right. So it's not gonna happen immediately. It's not gonna happen overnight. So for that, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let go of the idea of retiring early, and I would think about retiring productively. So whatever that would look like. And then the second thing is that all the experiences that I'm gathering along the way would be instrumental for the next step that will probably launch me. So, for example, I've moved from working customer service to working design to working user research to like I've done all of these things, and in some ways they are transferable. It might not be 100%, but at some point, if I do decide that I want to start a store or something, I've learned how to manage money because I worked in the money part of a retail store. Like it's all of those things to come together, and they would add up to the point where it's like, okay, this is where I am. So it's helped me take so much pressure off the brake, like take my leg off the brake in a way to like say, okay, take my leg off the gas rather, because I'm like not trying to think of how fast can I go, how fast can I go. I'm just like, you know what, the journey is what makes it. So every step of the way, every people I meet, it's also why I've been really hardcore on meeting people, because I've just realized that people are like the catalyst you need, for the most
Mm.
part. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know if my idea of retirement and your idea of retirement are the same. I don't think it's also the same with Israel. But I do know that at some point there are things that I would want to have, which is my skills, which is my relationships. Um, the money would come based on how well I can utilize my skills plus relationships plus every other thing that comes in between. So
What's your idea of? I think I like that point about the idea of retirement. What's your my idea of retirement? Obviously, is not passive, not doing anything. I don't know how
Mhm.
people think of those things anyway, but yeah, like, what's your idea of retirement, Summer?
my idea of retirement would be, I think it's gonna be the freedom to take on projects that I find exciting.
Okay.
Without having to think. So for example, right? Waking up at, and this might sound very like a stretch because Israel wakes up earlier than I do, but waking up at the time I do, to work on the podcast, or to every time I spend working on this podcast, for me is more fulfilling than anything I've done when I was in corporate. Because this is something that I enjoy. And I did not know this until when I started doing this, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that when it then gets to the point, I don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe investing in politics, in, trying to change things in Nigeria, investing in social cases that involves, men or whatever. Stop laughing. Investing all of those, like I don't know, but I know that it's going to involve a lot of giving back in so many ways, especially with terms of resources. It's going to involve a lot of mentorship, kind of. Um, I don't know if I will start businesses if I do retire, but I know that I would own businesses. Like if by buying shares or buying part of them or something. But that's kind of the picture I'm thinking in my head. I just, I don't know. That's where it is. Like,
That's your idea of retirement. Okay. How about you, Israel?
Mine is simple. My idea of retirement is to not have to worry about
The salary.
money. Do you get? Is to have to do things without what doing them for capital gains. Obviously, sure, I can get capital gains from it, but the fact that I'm at that point where I don't have to think about capital gains, and I can wake up and go work for a place like a company that I believe in for 2 years because of my engineering experience. I'm like, yeah, I want to contribute, help you build this thing, and be done with that. Be part of the board of directors of a particular company, not particularly for the money, right? Because just being able to do things. I mean, obviously, sometimes when people think about retirement, is they think about not doing anything. But I've always believed that we are not created to not do anything, right?
Yeah.
You will just die early, right? Uh, no, legit though. Like we are probably not created to do work so that we can eat, right? But we're not created not to do work, right? Now, what I'm doing now is working so that I can eat. Do you get? So that I will not starve and have a place over my head. But
Oh my
retirement is
God.
when I get to that place where I don't have to worry about those things because they are
Yeah.
just there, right? And I can just do whatever I want to do and wake up and be like, yeah, today this is what I want to do. Tomorrow this is what I want to do. So I think that's
Yeah.
what I think when I think about retirement.
Yeah, totally get that. And it's also like, funny enough, this is like, it's very similar to how I see it. I think a major reason for me, which is why this is always like a very important topic for me, is usually it's probably because there's a interesting misalignment in my current corporate career and what I actually want to do. Like it's not massive, but like it's significant, such that, for example, people say things like, I think even somebody has seen it, like, I've been posting my pictures recently, and people are like, oh my God, you should explore photography. Like, I know. Do you think I don't know? Like, like, I know I should explore photography, but I also need to know I need to eat. So it's like, I need to eat and I need a roof over my head. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be exploring any photography anytime soon. Because it's like, priority right now is actually lunch. So it's like, that's in a way. I don't know, it just reduces you to, I don't know, you're just subject to the laws of, I don't know, the laws of like, I don't know, clocking in and salary, literally, like the laws of stand up and salary. That's literally how I see it. So it's like, it would be good to get to the point where, like Israel says, or like you're saying, to be able to do those other things, not as if they won't also bring out money, or like I won't also wake up early for them, or maybe I won't have to have a meeting, for example, for those things. I might have to have meetings for those things, but it's also like it would be good to know that this is actually what I actually enjoy. Like I
Yeah.
really, really love photography. I love the kind of pictures I take, the kind of stories I can tell with the pictures. Like it's exciting to be able to explore that, but I can't explore that right now full time. There's no need to lie because I know that like lunch has to be eaten. You get so it's like for me, I'm not the question which takes us back to the money bit is not like, am I doing enough to be able to at least explore in 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm generally in a hurry with my life. I don't think I am. I just want to make sure that I'm not wasting time. So, for
Yeah.
example, because I know that with the way investments work, a year starting a year earlier can be like a massive differentiator,
Mm-hmm.
like 30 years from now.
Yeah.
Even though it's just 1 year, like just
Mm-hmm.
1 year. It's like the question is no, let me quickly retire at the age of 30 or at the age
Yeah.
of 35. I don't think that's the goal. The goal is even like if I have to do corporate till I'm 30 or till I'm 35, happy to make peace with that. As long as you tell me that the way I'm currently running it, by that 35, I'll actually be able to stop and then start exploring those other interests or passion or whatever the case may be and everything. So yeah, I'm not sure this conversation is going anywhere, but that's actually where, yeah, I think it's probably just the anxiety of money, and
You know,
we can probably talk about that like a lot
yeah.
more, maybe in another podcast. But that anxiety was what was on me this morning. I was just like, you know what? Enough of this podcast and everything. Like, I'm building a marketing career. I'm 6 months in. I'm doing a podcast with you guys, which is also another way of maybe building financially for the future. I'm also
Mm-hmm.
investing in content creation, which is another way of building financially for the future. I'm writing books, which I will sell financially for the future. It's like, when is
It's
it?
like
I have a YouTube channel. Like, what are you going to do
it's like
again?
is
Like,
the future that ad?
like, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do already. Like, everything I watch in this video that you have posted,
Yeah.
I've done it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm doing live and I don't waste money. I'm
I
investing. I'm saving. Like,
I
I don't know.
think I think to be honest, one thing generally this is a general advice and probably I would
Yeah.
rub it or like extrapolate to you is that as long as you're doing the best that you can currently, right? I think that is what matters. And obviously, one thing that you can do now is, at least for you, is to make more money, right?
Yeah.
Change your job and make more money, which means you get to save a lot. Like yesterday night, I just found out that I was actually saving like almost 35% of my income. Do you get?
Mm.
Which is, I thought it was like 20%, that kind of thing. So as long as you can save and invest what is appropriate, do you get, or what
Yeah.
you think is right, I think it should be okay. I mean, sometimes I also, because I also have a target, right? This year I also have, and you also think about the fact that if I have 10,000 naira in my savings and investment, am I doing like, don't people my mates have more than 10,000? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Sometimes,
that's 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 a real thing. You're like, is 10,000 not too small? Like,
yeah.
how long do I have to do this for me? I'm only able to save 10,000 for the next 10 years, like I will still continue to work this thing until I die.
Yes, it's also like, if this actually how things progress, is
Yeah,
this really the life I promised myself? Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's like just, and it's also like, I mean, we've talked about, for example, I mean, best way to increase your income is to first change your job. But also, like, I also understand that I'm working towards, I mean, this whole you want to be the experience thing, you don't want
yeah,
to job up without a solid foundation
yeah,
and everything. It's like, in a way, I've considered all the variables, I'm doing all that's supposed to do. It's also like, but the anxiety never leaves. And
Yeah.
constantly YouTube is recommending to me all this, do this to achieve financial
To
independence
not
at the age
die
of
poor.
25. Bro, I'm already past 25. Like, I can't achieve it again. I just,
This is what I was thinking
I've
about.
noted all those videos. I'm like, don't recommend to me again. I'm serious. That's the kind of, but next, I think till the end of the year, I'm probably not going to do
Yeah.
anything. I'm probably just going to maintain my pace. Like, follow the plan I already have, maintain my pace. Don't give in to unnecessary anxiety. Don't watch unnecessary
Mm-hmm.
YouTube videos that will trigger me and make me feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
Do what I've already planned to do. Follow the decisions that I made while I was level-headed and cool-headed. And then by January, I'm going to review my goals, review the actions that I took,
Yeah.
and then see, okay, what does it look like to now maybe 2x or 3x things
Mm-hmm.
in the new year?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's like I actually cannot kill myself. I've not
Yeah.
even been 1 year in this country. Like, what are we doing, man?
No, it's you're saying everything, like almost everything I was gonna say. So there are two things that I had in mind as you were speaking, and the first thing is that first we need to take it easy on ourselves in terms of recognizing the fact, like we need to take it easy on ourselves because yes, this is how I like to think about it, and I'm not blaming anybody here. I'm just stating the fact. But
Mm-hmm.
doing three things at the same time, right? We are building for we are building what should have already been built for us.
Yeah.
We are building for what we should already have right now. And then we're
Mm.
also building for what the future should be able to give us. So it's like in some ways, and in some ways, like you would say that our parents have done the best they can, giving us
Mm-hmm.
education, affording us the opportunity to be where we are right now. But like financially, we still like we are working with people that we are working in the same lane with people that their parents probably already they are probably trust fund babies.
Yeah.
And the more you go deep into this whole financial landscape in this part of the world, you will see that to set up trust funds is not even that hard. Like, you get like in Nigeria, it seems like a far fetched idea, but like in these countries, it's like, oh, you just have to put $50 or $200 every month
Mm-hmm.
for this amount of years, and this is it. By the time the kid is 18, the kid already has 1 million or something. Like you
Yeah.
just think about it, you're like, oh, so it's that easy. But we didn't get that. All we got was the education that we got and the
Mm-hmm.
life lessons and the values that we got, which to a large extent, to a reasonable extent, those people already have. So we are both contesting on two unequal parts, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is that now you're building for yourself. You're building to know yourself. But at the same time, it's like you're playing catch up with people that already had that background and also trying to do it. So we have to really give ourselves credit on how much work we've done. The second thing is that in large part of the financial advice that you see online, we are not the target audience. We are not. Like, don't tell me that, oh, save 20% of your income if you can barely buy food off your income.
Yeah.
Like, if in a place like some of the youth, for example, in maybe like, and I keep saying Nigeria because I mean, we all connect to that. I'm not saying it because the economy is like, not just because the economy is bad or because whatever, but it's like you're talking about a country where minimum wage or something like, or if you're working minimum wage, for example, in there are just some conversations that you should not be thinking about having. Like, I'm sorry, but you should not be. I don't think that it's smart for you to, especially if you plan to level up from there, to just try to save out of your $15 an hour salary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's ridiculous because the cost of living is probably equal to or almost up to that. And so it's like we don't have a lot of content or whatever that is actually targeted at our demographic. You know,
Yeah.
like
What?
young Nigerians
Yeah.
coming into a different immigrants or whatever, coming into a different country where the
Yeah.
financial system is different. Because it's like, okay, you have to first think about surviving. And after surviving, you have to think about being able to, not think about your next paycheck. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there you have to think about how much you can save. So it's like we we have to give ourselves credit. We have to because we are not lazy, so we have to recognize the fact
Mm-hmm.
that we're doing as much as we can in the space that with the card that we have been dealt in a
Mm-hmm.
country that is not necessarily ours, and then we are doing all of these things to still be relevant for ourselves, for posterity, and for the past, for the people that are still depending on us to succeed in some ways. So it's a lot of pressure. And to be honest, from an outside view, Michael, I think you're doing great. Like, I think you're doing great. you know,
I mean, it's that thing with my video of like, even
oh
when
yeah,
people tell you you're doing great, you're like,
yeah,
Yeah, it's
am
like
I really doing great?
the anxiety is not fact driven. Do you get
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I think it's fact driven. I think a lot of it is coming coming from a poverty mindset is one,
yeah,
Yeah.
and also coming from not necessarily an abundance mindset, like a lack mindset. There are people,
Mm-hmm.
for example, who, like you said, maybe they grew up in a developed country. So if they lose their job, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna get another one. Like people lose
Mm-hmm.
jobs. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, sad I lost my job, I'm gonna get another one anyway. Maybe like two
yeah.
months or 3 months, I'm gonna get another one. Obviously, like I can't afford that. Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Even if I can afford it financially, I can't still afford it financially. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, now if you lose your job, Israel, for 3 months, you can afford to survive financially, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also like you're gonna take a dent on
Yeah.
your
On whatever you're
finances.
building. Yeah.
Exactly. And people who are coming from poverty often tend to be in a position where they are building because nobody
Yeah.
has built for the past 3 generations.
Yeah.
Do you
yes,
get
yeah,
it? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So
We are
like the onus
building,
is now on you to
yeah,
build like significantly. I have friends, for example, who I mean their parents are they're doing very well, like significantly well. Like they have
Mm-hmm.
like real estate investments and everything to the point where they know that there's no pressure for them to get a job ASAP. That even
Mm-hmm.
if they maybe something happens or whatever, they can see that their dad is probably going to will them one of his properties.
Yeah.
They get it. What is willing meaning significant useful property? They get it. Like it's like if you for example right now, you end up having kids and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids are not going to be having the anxiety that you're having right now,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
that I'm having right now. Not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
because they are lazy or whatever. It's just that there's no need for it.
There's no need
So
for
there's
it.
no
Yeah.
need, like there's no need, like all the YouTube videos that whoever is posting now about save 30% of your income invest, they might do it, but also like there's
Yeah.
no stress for them to do
Yeah.
it. So eventually, when they now have their own kids, it's
mm,
like things are now we're on a different playing ground entirely. So I
Yeah.
think the anxiety that comes, like this current anxiety, is not really fact driven. It's just because I mean you are trying to fight, as Israel said, what is chasing you, which is poverty. At the same time, you're trying to build so that you never go back to poverty. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. So it's just like, yeah, but I'm just trying to not be,
One thing that I would say,
yeah,
which you're already doing, and also for people that are doing that, is, and, and yeah, I would say that, but I was also going to say that, we were talking about this place that you used to work before, Michael, where they were like,
yeah,
oh, we need people to save this amount, but it's also like people don't have that extra income.
mm,
yeah,
People, and I was going to also say something that, to be honest, even in this part of the world, even a lot of
yeah,
people that grew up in this part of the world
yeah,
don't have, especially young people now, don't have that
yeah,
buffer, because a lot of
yeah,
them are barely surviving because the cost of living is just, especially where I live, like where I live in Vancouver, even if you're making six figures, you're barely getting by, right? Because rent is high, everything is just high, and you
yeah,
can't afford to buy a place, you can't afford to do
yeah,
whatever you want to do, travel twice a year, stuff like that. So it's not even only about us being immigrants. I think it's also the case of the fact that people just don't have enough left after everything, right? The baby
yeah,
boomers or whatever those people are called, they are on another plane entirely. And it would be wrong for us to compare ourselves to that. One thing that I would also say is that at least one thing that I try to do, especially times that I'm like, am I doing enough? Is I try to check statistics and be
yeah,
like, what is actually going? I mean, I do it just to, it helps me, right? Good kind of comparison. I'll be like,
that is interesting.
what are other people making? And I'm making that. People that are my age, how much do they have saved? Right?
yeah,
And am I in that range? I don't need to be exactly in that place, but am I in that range? So
yeah,
there's this couple that are Canadians and they're like 27 or something, and they are married, I guess, or whatever they are doing. And both of them have like 100K plus saved in investment. I'm like, oh, I'm not married and I could get that by the time I'm 27. Do you get?
yeah,
If I'm married, that means I can save more because I can split some of the bills that is happening now. You get, so I'm like, I'm actually not doing as bad as I think I am, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think it depends on the person that you're watching, right? If you're watching someone that has already made money off YouTube and they are just they're able to save 10K per month, you're just going to be not doing well for yourself. Or you can still watch them and learn your lessons, but it will be detrimental to compare yourself with that person when
Yeah.
you should compare yourself with people that are living in Burnaby with you, like people that you can see on the road, and you're like, well, I'm actually not doing bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually not doing as bad as I'm doing, right? Which
Yeah.
boils back to the first thing I was saying at the beginning of the episode is that when a lot of people talk about how much they are making or what their current financial status is, it just makes everybody say that we are not all worse than ourselves. Everybody's just trying to get by. To be honest, we're just trying to from one like just keep this money going around, like by just being able to afford the basic things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that helps me to not worry too much. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, what is the plan for this? What is the plan for this? But I think at some point it's just knowing that life happens, and you, like Samuel said, you're not you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? So as long as you're doing that, you can hope for the best. And I also think about, at least what I think about is I do this for a lot of it, like almost every aspect of my life, is thinking about what is are things going to look like by the time, like in the next 10 years, right? If I'm able to save 100K in just 2 years, right? Like, what are things going to look like in the next 10 years? Meaning, I can actually get up to 500K. And the thing about investment and savings is it's compounding, right? And like you also said about your salary, obviously I will make more money in those 10 years, which means I'll be able to save more, right? Which then means that is going to compound, right? Imagine your investment portfolio grows by 10%. 10% of 10K or of 100K is 10,000, which is not enough for 1 year. But if you have 500K and it grows by 10%, you have like 50K per year, which is
That's
probably,
not bad. You just have to
do you
move
get
to the
that?
UK.
Isn't bad. Do you get what I'm
Move to
trying to
Europe.
say? Yeah, so
You have
like
to move to Europe.
so you just need to think about the fact that sure, like think about what can happen if you invest and that
Yeah.
grows, right? If that grows, like, and you don't stop working, you're still making, like, by the time you're 35, I expect you still be doing something that is bringing money inside. And
Yeah,
say,
I don't intend to even stop corporate anytime soon, to be honest.
exactly,
I think I only want to stop corporate at the point where it doesn't allow me to do other things I want to do. And I'm going to
yeah,
be honest, right now, it does. Like,
yeah.
I have time. My work is not uh, uh,
So it's not
choking
like a
my life.
chokehold. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like I'm very much able to. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing it, going to keep making the money, going to keep
yeah,
meeting people. Like Samuel has said, there's some skills that I picked up in corporate that I love, like design, for example.
yeah.
They're just amazing. So yeah, definitely will keep doing that. Yeah, thank you guys. So the me therapy.
So that's what
Money.
that's what I think, anyways. And I
Yeah,
think you're already saving enough. Like, you're saving the maximal that you can
yeah,
save.
the best I can do.
Yeah, the best you
I
can do.
can't do more than this. Like,
Do you get, like, so obviously,
all I
like,
want to eat.
yeah, so you're
Yeah,
saving the best that you can save, and I think you just need
yeah,
to, time is, just think time, right? And
yeah,
time helps out a lot, I guess, is the way to put it.
yeah.
When
I think
you stop
another
things
thing.
over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one last thing I want to say. Something I learned recently is also how, like, I think because I was wondering that where exactly, like, people that have like maybe significant investments or
Hmm.
savings, like in 10 years, 20 years, like what is one thing that that they have in common? And I mean, ChatGPT and all of them were saying that an important thing that most people have is a steady source of income.
Yeah.
Like, high income is great, but steady
Hmm.
income is fantastic
Yeah.
because if you have a high income and then you don't have income again for another like 3 months or
Yeah,
6 months, it dents your distance. But
Mm-hmm.
someone who has a steady source of income is
Yeah,
able to consistently, as you said, invest, save, and everything. So I think that's another thing that I mean, obviously, just trying to pay my attention to is, I mean, hold on to what you have, make sure that it's steady, it's consistent, and then,
mm-hmm.
yeah, just play the long game, to be honest. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
does
think
anyone have this?
unless you get lucky and you win a lottery or something, like it's slow.
Yeah,
It's going to be slow and steady. Like
yeah,
that's the thing. It's going to
yeah,
be slow and steady. Your account's going to be increasing by 1K every month, and you're like, am I going to make it
yeah.
out like
Oh,
this?
ridiculous, bro. Like, it's
Yeah,
like, it's just like so annoying because you already know how much you can get by the end of the year.
yeah,
Like, no
yeah,
matter.
yeah. Yeah,
So it's
there's
like,
nothing you want to do about it. Like you're
yeah,
already.
it's
I
like,
was calculating that yesterday. I was like, yeah, this is the max I can get.
like this is the best I
So
can do. Like, it's
this
like,
is the best. Yeah, like I work this thing, they paid me this much. If I save
it's like
this
this is
part,
the best
like
I can do.
this
Like,
is the
no
best.
matter
Yeah,
how much if anything, if you can even reduce, I'm not careful.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, that's it. But yeah, does anyone, as I mean, you're not saying anything, so I want to know if you also have this jitters.
Oh no, I do.
Or
I
you
definitely.
don't.
It's just that like I've accepted the fact. Like I mean, both of us, you know, I mean, the state of like right now for those I don't know. I mean, I'm currently in between jobs, and so
Yeah,
like it's even worse on me because I don't have a steady income per se. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
but at the same time, I'm doing everything I can, and it makes a lot of what we when people are like, oh, I see that you're enjoying your life around and stuff like that. I'm like, back up,
Like
back
you
up.
don't know.
This is all work, you know.
You don't know.
Yeah, like,
But like it's definitely something I think about a lot.
yeah.
I'm grateful that I had some form of buffer, of some form of savings, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of kept me going.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like I think about it like at least there are times when I'm like, if I one more month, like it just feels like one more month, and if I don't get anything, that's it. But the reason why I don't feel so bothered is because I know that two things. Either maybe when my back is done to the wall and there's nothing I can do anymore or something, I'll find a way to fight back.
And my
Right?
backs are against the wall.
Oh, shut up.
Since I said to you.
The second thing is that I'm not proud. I'm not proud enough to not do some jobs. Like if I need to get money in, I will get money in. The reason why I
Mm-hmm.
can sit here and prioritize maybe my skills and upskilling and meeting people is because I have the means to do it. The moment that changes, I will do what I need to do to survive
Yeah.
legally, right? So I'm not bothered. But also it's also like I just keep reminding myself that this process is not permanent,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yeah.
one of the things that helped me do. I swear there are times when I actually would want to like just because I just there's this psychological thing where you're like, oh, if I have this money just sitting in my account, it feels good. And I would sometimes think about coming to you guys to be like, hey, can you like lend me this money and stuff? But I also don't like lending money if I don't have it
Something to use it for.
what I'll no or a vision of how I'll pay back or something. So it's
Yeah,
not necessary. I'll just keep it. I'll just keep surviving what I have. So I do have the jitters a lot. Even when I had jobs, I did have it.
yeah.
Like it was like there's this
Yeah.
Hamilton thing that was it was like why they were like why do you write like you're running out of time, right? And I've not stopped thinking about it since my trip because it's like why do I work like I'm running out of time? Why do I try to save like I'm running out of time? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have very limited time and I
Yeah.
need this money in my account.
Yeah.
So it's not something I'm strange to. It's just something I've learned to accept.
Yeah.
And there's poverty
Yeah.
mindset.
Yeah, I think part of it is that lack. Like it's not. I don't think it's an abundance mindset. To be
Yeah.
honest, and that's what like it adds on an abundance mindset when you didn't come from abundance. Anyway, it takes a while.
when you don't even know what abundance is.
It takes a while to recalibrate your mind towards an
Yeah.
abundance mindset.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the sober.
Yeah.
We've been
So
having
what?
sober episodes lately.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I mean, more
Yeah,
like the way I would think about it is like reflective episodes, which is
yeah,
nice.
yeah. That's the word. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? How often do you think about money and how much money you don't have or you have and how secure your future is financially? Drop that in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share with a friend that you think might enjoy this. You can also make clips out of this if you're watching on YouTube and just share those clips with your friends. So would be expecting that and waiting for that. And any other last words?
You
I
guys
just
should take it easy, to be honest. There's only one. Just have a good time. Serious. Like, just be like me right now.
Yeah.
Stop watching all those financial advice videos.
Mm-hmm.
Do your best
um,
and leave the rest.
yeah, yeah, basically. Well,
Awesome.
first,
So
this is going to be my last word in Jesus' name. Amen. Fire. Uh,
However,
no, but like, yeah, I kind of echo what Michael is saying. It's like in the midst of all of this, they'll say, like the internet has all the answers you need. You've got to also be able to recognize your own answers because people would come. For example, Israel's savings goal, for example, his approach to savings is not going to work for me, right? And we're in a
why?
savings group, and there's
and
no
it's
pressure.
apart to income working for me. Like, I don't understand. Like,
Like people, it's like so it's like yes, there's the abundance of advice, but how much advice actually aligns with you? The only
Applies
book
to you.
applies to the only book that I've seen that actually really deals with like investment and money for all ages is The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm.
That book is like the one that I felt like it touched on every area without
mm,
pressure. It wasn't of you're not doing this, you are doing this. It's like so I actually have this like staring at me in the face.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just learn to take your like filter what advice works for you. You're doing great. There are so many things
it's
fighting you.
you.
They're on your side. Um, so just take it easy.
All right.
Yeah.
So take it
All right.
easy and see you in the next episode. Bye.